And we are back with more sports overview of topics. Folks out there, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the podcast. Your host, AJO2 and Love, here today to go over all the, or at least the majority, sports news and stuff going around in the world of sports today, as far as MMA. Holly Holm, she had a fight this weekend. Share how that went. Thoughts. The Ultimate Fighter had another showing last night. Go over that as well as preview of the free fight card this weekend. Deandre Hopkins, that's more big news. Finally made a decision on where he will play this year. And maybe for another. But he is signed with the Tennessee Titans. We'll go over that as well. Shohei Ohtani. Rumors swirling around him as we are just a couple weeks away from the trade deadline for Major League Baseball, which is August 1st. So, see how that goes. But yeah, see how everything goes. Alex Magoo, he is now signed to an NFL team. So, yeah, we shall see. But again, I want to thank everyone for joining me. As far as this series or whatever you want to say is concerned. But yeah, let's not waste too much time. Let's start off the news, shall we? As I have my notes here for me. So, Deandre Hopkins, I said, signed officially with the Tennessee Titans. 2 years, $26 million deal. Now, I can already see, the criticism and, why it's good, why it's bad. I'm going to go over why it was probably the right decision overall. So, let's look at it from this perspective. So, $13 million a year. Okay, that's for starters. If he had signed with, now again, changes can always be made. But after looking at, the salary cap numbers from episodes a couple weeks ago, I can already tell that, the Bills and the Chiefs, the Eagles pulled around, they would have had to make room, a good amount of cap room to get them for that price. It just wasn't in the cards. So, Yeah, $13 million a year. Okay. When you look at now Titans versus the Patriots, because obviously he had those visits. Well, the Patriots, as disappointing as it's gotta say, but they seem like set to be in for fourth place this year. Just the way it seems, with the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins, provided all can stay healthy. It just seems that way, that the the Patriots are going to be shooing for last place unless something Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, outperform Aaron Rodgers or Tua or Josh Allen. That's the way it seems. Whereas, going back to my predictions, I had the Titans winning 8 games. And let's not forget, 2 years ago, yes, you can bring up the playoff game versus the Bengals, but they still finish first in the AFC 2 seasons ago. That was number 1. Number 2, last season, they were 7-3 with a relatively steady quarterback position and just fell apart. Tannehill got injured again. The Malik Willis just did not perform well, to the point where they put in Josh Dobbs and he looked better than Malik Willis. And they still had a chance to win the division the final week of the season against Jacksonville. They just came up short. So, by all accounts, and now I do think the Texans will be competitive. I do see them as a 5 to 7 win team. The Colts, I'm optimistic about as well, But at the same time, this, round and robin of quarterbacks that have been for the Colts since Andrew Luck retired, it's honestly just, you just don't know. how will Anthony Richardson fare out? And in his rookie year, I mean, I'm sure there's timid expectations. So we'll see. But obviously, besides Jacksonville, there's not really a credible threat in that division. So I'm not saying they'll win it or they're my choice, but I would not be surprised if a healthy Tennessee team pulls off, because I mean, Deandre Hopkins, less pressure on Derrick Henry. It'd be a good mentor to Traylon Burks, who they obviously drafted last year and did some good things before getting hurt, or did some okay things when he was healthy. And then and then Okonkwo, their young tight end, he's there. Westbrook Akina, he's a guy to think about as well. But so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And defense is relatively still intact. So yeah, we'll see. But I like Ron Carthon, how he's trying to we'll see how it goes. But now, people can criticize, yes, not Kansas City, not Buffalo, not Philly or Detroit, but they're relatively solid team. There you go. Now, paralleling from that, Evan Engram. This was certainly a light story and good-hearted story. Evan Engram getting a 3-year, $41 million deal. Being a career year last year with Trevor Lawrence, a resurgent year. I believe, he's up for another solid year this year. And Trevor Lawrence not even in his prime. And he's only going to get better. Adding Calvin Ridley should help that overall offense. And can't wait to see. But good for Engram. Obviously, he had a flux of decent seasons with the Giants. Never really fulfilled that potential of being a first round tight end with Eli and Daniel Jones. But we'll see if last year was an outlier or harbinger of things to come. For a while, I thought he was going to make the Pro Bowl over Mark Andrews, but things happen. Alex Highsmith, who had a career year last year with 14 sacks, filling in nicely for TJ Watt when he was out with injury. He got paid his dollar dues as well. Rewarded with a 4-year, $68 million extension. I mean, kudos for him. I mean, yeah. I mean, for a while I thought he was gonna do better. Or I mean, definitely should have gotten the Pro Bowl nod over TJ Watt, but of course the name value and stuff. So what can he do? But yeah. So peering from a good story to a not great story. So sticking with football in the NFL. So earlier this week was the deadline for franchise tag players to gain long-term deals ahead of this season. And most notably, 3 running backs were not able to finalize on their deal on long-term extensions. Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, and Tony Pollard. See, look, I'm not surprised, first of all. I'm not surprised that Saquon didn't get a deal. Because, look, there was rumors that, Saquon got offered a $12 million deal around that range. 12, 13. Nonetheless, around that range, and he turned it down last fall. Of like multi-year. Nonetheless, he turned it down, and see, here's the thing. Saquon, yes. He had a resurgent year. He had a solid year. Was the comeback player of the year before Geno Smith, found his groove, again, and had a very solid season for the Seahawks. But yeah, Saquon did an element certainly helped really much the offense and really ease up stuff for the offense for Daniel Jones. And, Daniel Jones, see, this is the problem with contracts. There's no set. Now I get it. An agent's supposed to advocate and make you as much as you can. Daniel Jones is not a $40 million quarterback. We can all agree. I even said it, when the extension came out. I would not have paid him more than 30. I would not. I would probably put him like 25 million. Between 20 and 30 million, I think would, maybe 20 and 28, I think would have been good range. But alas, he got his extension, that huge extension. Dexter Lawrence got his huge extension. Sterling Shepard had a nice extension as well, but no, not Saquon. See, now, we don't know the specifics quite yet. If he wants more guaranteed money, if he wants a bigger year-to-year salary, I mean, with this day and age, now, I was surprised. I think we can all say we were more surprised that Josh Jacobs didn't get a deal done more than Tony Pollard or Saquon, because when we also talk about Tony Pollard has been splitting carries for the last couple of seasons with Zeke. And he hasn't really been the focal point as a true number one. Yes, at this stage of the game, he is better than Zeke. We can agree. He had more splash carries, more splash receptions in the last couple of seasons than Zeke. But the funny thing is, when you talk about Zeke, his deal hurts Tony Pollard in the sense. When they basically gave Zeke that big deal, and he sold it well, but wasn't worth the money. Look, we can honestly say that Dak and Zeke, when you look back at their big extensions so far, they have not lived up to their deals. We can honestly say. Now, Dak obviously has more years left on his deal. Zeke, cut by the Cowboys, clearly they've had enough. Now, that doesn't mean they can't bring him back in a lesser role, smaller deal. Of course, we've heard rumblings that the Bucs are interested in him, but we get the point. Now, with Josh Jacobs, I will say, he's not known to be a hurt guy. He's not. Same for all these guys. They're humble. They're not outspoken. Jacobs. Now, he's obviously advocated the last number of weeks for long-term deals and better money for running backs. As much as I hate to say it, we have look in this stage of the game with the NFL, running backs, it's just how it is. They're less and less important. It's how it is. I mean, you look at, okay, let's look at this. People were obviously outraged and upset that they cut Dalvin Cook and they couldn't find somewhere to trade him. Valid. Over Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirk Cousins in this stage of the game is more valuable to the Vikings than Dalvin Cook is. That's just how it is. Now, maybe 10, 12 years ago, probably would have been different. But nonetheless, Kirk Cousins is more valuable than Dalvin Cook. Although I am surprised Dalvin Cook has not been picked up yet. You look at the Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs. I think we can recall a couple seasons ago, they drafted a particular guy from LSU named Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. In the latter part of the first round. Thinking he'd be this nice piece, he can catch the ball well, he can run the ball well. Then in walks the last couple seasons, Jerick McKinnon, who has been relatively healthy, since obviously his last big injury with, the 49ers, and then he was slowly but surely back healthy. And then last year, he doesn't get as much credit as he deserves for the Chiefs in their Super Bowl run. But Isaiah Pacheco, he had a very good year. A very good year for a late round prospect who, I'm sure people had in their minds that, okay, Yacht McKinnon, Edwards-Helaire, his option was declined, could they do something? But from out of nowhere, from the 7th round, Isaiah Pacheco. And he had a heck of a season. Now, not taking away from, obviously, Chris Jones, Mahomes, Kelsey, excuse me. Hey. But not to take any credit away from those guys. but I think we can say that Isaiah Pacheco had a very, very good role in them winning this past season, the Super Bowl. And as a rookie in the 7th round, it's just how it goes in this league. A team can pluck a running back out of the draft or undrafted, put him in the offense, and he can just get it done. It's an unfortunate thing, but it's how it is in the league. Now, Jacobs is important to the Raiders offense. Saquon is important to the Giants. And Pollard was certainly a pivotal part and has been the last couple of seasons. But in this day and age, unless the cap just like jolts up a gigantic amount more, then I don't think we're going to see a $20 million running back anytime soon. Christian McCaffrey, let's be honest, he is great. At 17, 18 million a year. But the risk of it is his injuries. It's just how it is. He managed to stay healthy the past season between the Panthers and the Niners, but, it's a risk. Nonetheless, I hope these guys, show up and they can get paid a good amount. I'm not saying break the bank for them, but I'm saying give them a good amount. So we'll see. Shohei Ohtani in the news. Why? Because August 1st is the trade deadline of the Major League Baseball season. And the Angels are in a weird spot. Now, good news is there was a report the other day that Mike Trout is showing progress in his recovery from his wrist surgery. But, we've said it before and again. Luckily they were on 500, but when the report came out, they were 1-10 in their last 11. Now they're 4-6. They're getting a little momentum. They're back over 500. But you just wonder, is Ohtani on the move? I hope not. Look, he is obviously one of, if not the best player in baseball right now. And would I like to see him go to a contender? Would I like to see him go to... Now, the Dodgers would certainly be the favorites with him. The Braves, that would certainly push him. Even though they've been a bit of a stud lately. But, them, Baltimore, you get the point. But I can show that he and the team is still fighting and looking to keep him as much as they can. And if I'm Ohtani, I'm hoping. Because, look, they were surging when Trout and Ohtani were both healthy. So, look, if anybody knows how good Trout is, it's Ohtani. So, if Trout can just wait it out and they can just salvage it and make a wild card berth team, then if they can be healthy, they got a shot with those two at the helm. They got a shot. So we'll see. So Holly Holm. Still fighting. She unfortunately took a odd loss on Saturday, losing to Mayra Bueno Silva Saturday night in a odd fight in the main event. Literally, I looked away. That's the problem with these fights. Sometimes you can't look away for a second. Otherwise, you'll miss the finish. I know. When you walk out of the room and a finish happens, that's the craziest. That's the oddest feeling in the world. And then you see the replay. You're like, damn. But yeah. Anyways, Holly Holm, former bantamweight champion. She unfortunately tapped to a guillotine choke from Silva. She's in a weird state, obviously, since she lost the title Mishi Tate. She's been on a whirlwind of, she gets a couple wins, but she has lost some as well. Good amount, and she's not getting younger. So, always rooting for the New Mexican fighters, but it's not well. She doesn't have anything left to prove. So, if she calls it quits after this fight, I wouldn't be judging her one bit. She just gets makes the right decision for her. But pivoting from that, we got a solid card for the UFC in London on Saturday with a pretty unique main event in the heavyweight division. We got number 5 ranked Tom Aspinall welcoming number 10 ranked Marcin Tybura. Two solid guys with, Aspinall. I mean, he won before his last fight, which was a loss to Curtis Blades, currently right above him at 4. He won his last 5 fights, culminating with a big win over Alexander Volkov. Now, he's looking to rebound and getting closer to a possible title shot with a win over the big Tybura. We'll see. Tybura has had some very solid finishes in the UFC and he's always been around that gatekeeper range, and we'll see. I mean, he's had his opportunities against guys like Derek Lewis and others, but we'll see. But if I had to guess, I'm going with Aspinall. I mean, he's tough. He's so young for heavyweights, and we'll see. And it'd be criminal if I did not talk about the Ultimate Fighter from last night. And it happened. As last night, the question was, would the sweep happen for Michael Chandler's squad? That was not the case, as Conor McGregor's team finally got the dub. Finally. And it was good fashion, as Rico Sculio apologized if I butchered these guys' names, but Rico versus Hunter Arruze knocked him out in the second round. Solid win, and look, McGregor, patronize, criticize him all you want. Yes, he's not perfect. I mean, the newest allegations are just, it's obviously a bad look, but as a fan of his, as a fan of fighting and the Ultimate Fighter, let's be real. The Ultimate Fighter was not great. Was not drawing you in with a sweep. I mean, just reality. If the whole team completed a sweep, it would seem like boring. Now, really, it has been boring for the most part, simply because Chandler's team, he's picked the veterans of the UFC, but you want some parity. I'm not asking for it to be a 50-50 split, but you know, it's like a couple wins for McGregor's team or something would have been, a lot more entertaining. But happy for Rico and Connor and their team. They got one. They got one. So, yeah. But, anyways, guys, thank you for joining me. That is the episode for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it as I chimed in on latest news as far as the MLB and the NFL, UFC is concerned. So, thank you all. Did not say it in the beginning, but like, subscribe. You can find where it says it. Like, thumbs up. But yeah, thank you guys all. Be safe. Have a good rest of the week. Peace.